do you become a software consultant? There are plenty of tech firms that consult with multiple companies like Google or Dell, Facebook. But then you also have to think it's not just those big companies out there looking for help. There are also smaller companies as well. So also be working with a whole other brands that have smaller tell. So just if you really want to be a consultant, if that's something you'd like to do to gain experience quickly, then I'd recommend going that route. If you don't want to just be stuck in Facebook or Dell or just one of the big guys. But it really depends on your passion. I know if you're like a machine. If you're really into machine learning / AI, crypto, or what do they call that? I forgot the for that. It's a big thing. Now. Data security. Yeah. You're really into that stuff. Because for me, I was like, y'all are rest. Hi, thank you. I appreciate you. Gigi, you're so sweet. My eyes, they're here to pierce your soul. And you know, cybersecurity. Thank you. John, my extent of cybersecurity was learning how to deal with like plain text and dealing with like types of attacks. And I stopped there. That's all I know. I am interested in securing anyone's cyber. I'm sorry. Hi, you. But thank you so much for giving me subs. You have. I've witnessed all the bubble tape. Yeah. It's just nasty. It's just nasty. Coding is like any other job. You gotta deal with people that make your job harder and still get it done on a deadline. It's nothing glamorous. You prefer data science. For me, my preference was data visualization and VR and AR. And from there, it definitely went out to more like Unity and Unreal. Then it got into more like software. It definitely went out. It wasn't just coding.
My hair was so long back then.
How you doing? Welcome in to more like Unity and Unreal. Then it got into more like software. It wasn't just sponsored by AT&T. If you would like. How you doing? Well, check out some of the goodies on that.
But I also don't
in the chat. Hi, this stream is sponsored by
very generous.
Yeah.
And
But
you
your
should
hair
definitely
is
check out some of the goodies they got.
It's not short where it's sticking straight out. Or no, it's not long enough where it's...
Very generous.
It's not long enough to like weigh it down, so it just looks like you have this wild fro.
Like a bolt of the clamp.
Hey everybody, we've got a hot mic. Welcome. Thank you for tuning in. I haven't had the timing down for this, so I don't know when this is gonna end. I have only good news. Hi, hello, welcome everybody. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Nico, and today I'm joined by Dylan, aka theDylanTay.
Two hot hosts on a hot mic.
We will be flying out for an event
Delivery.
this
Fucked
Saturday.
up the delivery on that.
I will be
Comedy is all about timing.
That's right. I did not
flying out
have that.
and want to check it out Saturday.
That's alright. They cannot
I
be
will
winners.
be
Yeah,
away.
that's right. Wait, you're not allowed.
And then
You have surgery tomorrow, and you're drinking.
in a month. So I'm excited for that.
And it's
then-
also a clear beverage.
I miss dance.
Hey, Cade, welcome back. Thank you for tuning in. How's it going?
Hi, I'm Chelsea. Oh, what did Dan
Well, you
say?
never
I
answered.
am
Well, I wonder like why.
content creator.
Dan said, so what
exactly
do
you do? Hi,
Sick.
I'm Chelsea. I am a computer science. I got a whole degree.
Why, like,
but
you
that
know,
part
like,
of my
remotely
life
the
has
same
kind of
thing.
ended. I am a
I wonder why they tell you
computer
like
science. I have a degree.
you can't have like
But
dark
that
liquids. You ever
part
heard
of
that
my
before?
life is
Like
kind of
drinks
taken
like clear
now.
liquids,
Taking
dark
the
liquids.
button in the
Like I would
meantime
specifically
when I
get told
can
that.
and
Well,
start building
the only thing that I could think of is that
But
anything that is dark
when I
enough, like
can,
completely
so
clear, is
that's
something
when
that
I
has
start
solids
building my
suspended in
computer
solution.
to big way to
And that it might just be that
So that is
those
what
solids
rocket
complicate something that they need to do. Maybe some sort of imaging. That's the only thing that I can think of.
That makes sense.
We can find anybody anytime.
Jay is Justin. Is that am I reading that correctly? Welcome, thank you for tuning in on Twitch. I appreciate it. How's it going? Or I have not done that. I've mostly spent like forever doing VCs. I usually have not done. I think I'm the man.
I've mostly spent like forever doing.
If you were to look at the tool
That's why I
list,
said that.
But and I'll usually
he's just trying to be nice.
I was very.
I want you to feel like the 10th. That's what I want.
webbed from there. I was very lucky.
I feel like the man. You don't want to feel like the man. I want to get a haircut.
So pick up.
Do you want to get a haircut?
That's lit.
I want to get my hair trimmed.
I would love to see what you make. What's your motivation? Girl, did I say hey? This is what's your motivation? Girl, did I say
all the
hey?
positive feelings go right out the drain.
It's quickly becoming hey.
Get in the mirror.
All right, how are you?
I've been thinking about actually getting short hair again recently. Like properly short hair. Like as short as short hair.
Oh, hi, yes. Yeah, I was gonna.
Because it takes so long to grow this out, but also it's a lot of work to have like medium to long hair.
Yeah, and it's probably not.
They are. That's why I was purely looking for pie. They are.
That's probably not.
I was looking for pie today, and Eldon.
For me, it's mostly like not having to deal with like keeping this out of my face and like how much of it I can tie back here.
Interesting guest. We have a verified.
I think this is really as long as I can stand my hair being. And now that I like watching the reel that plays between all of my live streams where my hair is like
way longer.
like down here, I'm like, how? Who let me do that? What?
How long did it take you to grow that out?
I think about a year and a half. I don't miss now when I think about it, I'm like, yeah, I miss having that volume of hair, I guess. But when I see it, I'm like, yeah, that does not look like someone who is taking care of themselves or taking care of their hair or anything at all.
Well, you know what, dude?
That's pretty established. I got Tony. He was like,
I probably will. I want.
The last time you had like long hair was when we were doing top knots and man buns. I think man buns are still a thing, but they're a lot less prevalent.
But it was a lot.
Now it's like quarantine buns where people just like haven't cut their hair, they let it grow out during quarantine, and now they just have long hair and they're afraid of cutting it all off. Because they're like, man, now that I have long hair, I don't think I'm going to have an excuse to not see anybody for 3 months to grow it out again.
And mainly, and what really kicked that off is the hair salon.
Whenever I did any design project,
Oh, probably, yeah. Or now it's short-staffed.
decided if you want to go corporate or if you want to go indie.
Hannah and I went to a bar yesterday. We went to a place called Superica. And when we got there, the lady was like, yeah, like your table should be ready in like 10 minutes, but until then you can sit at any of these tables that have candles. And I was like, that sounds like a terrible fucking idea, in my opinion, because having been in the industry, as soon as you sit someone down, their immediate thought is, when am I going to get my menu? Am I going to get water? When am I going to see my server? Unless you have like some sort of like really clear delineation between what is a waiting room and what is like where you sit down to eat dinner. But if the tables all look the same, you can't just be like, oh, the ones that have candles at them are the ones we're not serving. Especially because she was like, you can order snacks and drinks. If I can order snacks and drinks, why can I not order regular food? I work in the industry and I have those questions.
Oh, are you networking?
And then we got to our table, and we were helped by one server, and then the general manager, and then another server, and then the first server again before we even had our first order of anything. So I don't believe they were short-staffed. I think they were just selling themselves short. Is that music in the background from AK? It should be. We can't hear it. So if it's too loud, you have to let me know sooner rather than later. I'd like to imagine what it sounds like now. It's somewhere between Twinkle Twinkle Little Star and the ABCs.
Yeah, I'm trying to see how far this Twitch thing goes.
The same tune.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it is. I never even thought about that.
Oh, smack them down with your amazing
A, B, C, D, E, F,
I love that.
Twinkle,
Hello,
twinkle,
welcome,
little star.
How
Yeah.
are you doing, Sean?
You can thank Beethoven for that one, I think.
Nice.
I think so, yeah. I think he wrote Twinkle Twinkle Little Star.
Why is the world not made for us? Why? Why is it not made for us? I don't get it. I should be able to protect my head. Oh, you're a web dev. Nice.
There's also an echoed voice. Check your tabs, maybe. Okay, hold on.
I have a lot of ideas, and I hope it'll be fun for them. Yeah, fearless. Do it. We need new game games. We need everybody making some games, please. Hey, computer systems. I will say,
Maybe now, is that okay?
Better.
I guess I had like 2 Twitch tabs open somehow. And Chelsea was on those for some reason. I don't know why. Okay. Yeah, that was Chelsea for some reason from Fight Night. And I had 2 of their windows open. I don't know why. That's good. Okay, sweet. Fantastic. Dylan can't drink today, so I'm going to drink enough for both of us.
Yep. I had to abstain from the alcohols for at least 12 hours.
I'm kidding. I couldn't. I would tell you.
Yeah.
He would need to drive me to the hospital. Like we each of us, I think, individually already partake a little bit more strongly than.
Yeah, dude. If you had to drink,
an adult should.
If you had to drink for both of us, it would not be a good time for you. We can both throw them back.
Also, Dylan would be like, I haven't been drinking all day, so.
Also that.
You're behind, sir.
Yeah, I mean, we can both of us.
No, I'm not gonna. I'm good on that. I will take one more shot of something.
Maybe I should take for you.
Let's go for it. Surprise me, big boy.
Right now? You want me to have it right now?
Yes. Just whip it out and put it on the table. The shot! You degenerates.
Don't tell me twice.
I work at an Irish-themed bar, so I don't know why I'm reaching for my glasses. My week's about to be stressful. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. It would be the 1 blue shot glass that is behind you right there. Top one.
Oh, what with me? Jesus.
Yeah, serve your elders first.
Yeah, you are technically older.
That's the only way to be older that matters, Dylan. You're technically older. So yes, in point of fact then, objectively older.
Yeah, what I meant was, we are the same number of years on paper. However, when you
that's true.
Get down to the nitty gritty details, you're about 2 months older. Ish. Not even, like a month and a half.
I'm like 2% older than Dylan.
Yeah.
Less than that, probably, actually.
Well,
but
let's hold on. We'll do the math right now.
Were you born in 1992 or 1991?
92.
I was born in 91.
So, and you're November
23rd.
So,
I think it's a 10-month difference.
So that's 18 days between then and the new year. Yeah, so 18 divided. Wait, hold on. So
Where are you getting 18 from?
18 days from. Wait a minute, I fucked that up. That's
November
completely
23rd.
wrong.
Yeah.
Completely wrong.
No, there's 31 plus the
Correct.
2 days in November, I think. So there's only 30 days in November.
So 7 days in November, 31 days in December. That's 38 days. I'm on January 3rd. So that's 41 days. It's a 41-day difference. So you're 41 days older than me. So if you do 41 divided by 365, you are 11% older than me.
That's not exactly true. It would have to be all of the time we've spent on the Earth compared to one another. So how many years old are you, and how many days until your... since your birthday?
Well, my birthday is January 3rd. So...
That's going to be easier for you than it is for me.
You're saying how many more days to my next birthday or since my last birthday?
Since your last birthday. So how old are you? Multiply that by 365, and then add the days since your last birthday.
365, that'd be 30, 60. What's the day? The 14th?
Sure.
Plus 11. It's 71. Yeah. 71 days? No. Jesus, I can't do math. 69
Hold
days.
on. You are 30 times 365 plus 40. What? Plus 4? No, that doesn't make sense. No, plus...
So my birthday today is
Your birthday's January 3rd?
Yeah.
So today is the 14th, so it's been
71 days.
Okay, so it's plus 71. So 11,021 days on this earth.
Jesus.
Is how long you have been here. I
So
am 30 times 365.
So it'd be mine plus, it'd be whatever my number is plus 41. Right? Because you've got 41
Maybe
days on me.
11,021 is what I said. Plus 41 over, hold on, 11,021 plus 41 divided by, that doesn't, plus 41 divided by 11,021. I feel like that doesn't quite add up, but I'm about 0.3% older than Dylan, so less than 1%. So we're effectively the same age.
Alright.
Lawyered!
Well, we got that figured out, thank God.
Raise him if... Wow.
That's what we call a Dylan door.
Yeah. All the way to the top.
That's a shot.
He didn't fill it up, he filled it up. Raise him if you got him, gently if it's full. You don't have to have a glass, and if you do have a glass, you don't have to have alcohol in it. But thank you all for tuning in, sticking around, showing up, and making this all possible. Here's to you all. Cheers. Dylan is abstaining. He can't drink. He has an operation tomorrow.
Yeah, I gotta get some reading tomorrow. Can't drink. But I hear alcohol goes really well with pain meds.
In the words of our famous Dr. Erskine. What am I doing? I don't have an operation tomorrow.
Yeah. I hear alcohol and pain meds go fabulously well together.
No,
Don't do
good
that.
God, no.
It's a joke. Don't do that. I'm not.
I feel like we can make that joke because we've seen what it does. I haven't experienced it personally, but I've seen it firsthand. Whenever you see somebody passing out at a bar, or someone who seems like they're having a good time, they're the life of the party, and then suddenly that same person is face down at the bar, unresponsive, 100% of the time, I will guarantee you it is because they are on something else. And that, in my experience, accounts for the vast majority of people passing out at the bar. It's because, and typically, I want to say most of the time it's Xanax, that people are taking one or two, or they have a good time, and they're like, I'm feeling hot, I'm high, I guess, but I'm feeling good, so I want to go and I want to take this thing that will help level me out. And so they go to the bathroom, they'll take a Xanax or whatever, and come back, have one more drink, and then they're good, and then just out like a light.
Yeah.
So in general, I abstain from mixing substances.
Yeah. One or the other.
In all situations. Yeah. Even if you've been drinking and you're like, that's okay, I'm gonna switch to something else now. Don't.
Yeah, just
You've got the rest of your life to live. You can do that tomorrow.
leave that other thing until the following day at least. You'll make do. You don't need both.
Yeah, you'll figure it out.
Yeah. You're an adult. You know what you're doing. Or you don't. Whatever.
In which case, listen to us, please.
Yeah, whatever. I can't tell you what to do. But if you want to be told what to do, $5 per request.
Yeah, if you want to be told what to do, my Cash App is $theDylanTay.
Close enough. So if anybody wants to send some funds to just have me boss you around. Okay, I mean it's kind of weird, not my kink, but I'll do it.
It's been a while actually since I've had somebody ask me to do stuff. I feel like I got more of those requests when I was smaller on YouTube.
Oh, really?
It's been years since I got like a really weird like send me a pair of your used underwear type requests from people. It's a good life to live.
Did you do it?
No. Well, they also wanted me to do it for free, so.
Oh, fuck out of here.
No, that's like at least $10,000. At least.
At least.
So if I like you, that's how much I would charge you.
At least.
So if you have $10,000 laying around, my Cash App is. No, I'm kidding. I don't even think I'm allowed to even make that joke on Twitch.
Well,
I wanted to see where our AI Writes a Joe Rogan podcast is at.
I looked this morning. I think we have like, I think it was over 10K likes. I want to say.
Yeah. We have 216.1 thousand views.
Oh, I thought you were about to say likes. Jesus Christ.
20.5 thousand likes.
Damn. Hell yeah.
What's funny is I remember telling you when we were recording it, when we were done, I was like, I don't know if it's gonna do well because we've changed the setting, we've changed the format a little bit, like having 2 people on the camera. We're using 3 different cameras instead of just one. And dude, that one blew up so fast.
Yeah.
Also, I was thinking like Joe Rogan is so specifically niche, but it turns out it's one of those things that is so niche that if you don't love it, you hate it, and if you don't hate it, you love it. People have an opinion on Joe Rogan one way or another. So everyone who watches this is like, man, this is either something I need to like or something I need to comment on and tell him how stupid he is for doing whatever this is.
Yeah, because him and what he does, it's so ubiquitous now. Like I know
he's a living meme now, pretty much. Joe Rogan is like he's a living cartoon character for a lot of people.
Yeah, pretty much. And I mean, he plays the part because he makes his money telling jokes, which is, I mean, that's gonna help your cause in that regard. But
that's true.
He also has, I would have to think, the most listened to podcast on planet Earth.
Longboarding llama. Wait, there we go. Welcome. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate it. How's it going? Thank you for showing up on Twitch. This is probably my favorite lens that I have. That is a 50mm prime lens. That's camera 1 right there. We don't need to talk about what just happened between me and camera 1. That's okay. We'll bury that at the bottom of the Marianas Trench.
Until it happens again in about 20 minutes.
Shh. We won't be streaming for that though. That'll just be me and camera 1, nobody else. Just 2 of us. We can make it if we try. Anyway, thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate it.
Who are the 2 Who are the 2 musicians that sing that song? Well, okay, who's the singer and who's the instrumentalist?
I feel like you're gonna tell me the singer, and I'm gonna be like, yeah, that sounds familiar, but I can't name those 2 people. I have no fucking clue.
So the singer is the incomparable Bill Withers, and the instrumentalist is Grover Washington. And that's the only song I know from him.
That actually does sound familiar.
Yeah.
But only because I feel like I've heard that as a punchline on Family Guy or something.
Probably.
But I feel like I've seen it. I feel like there is a scene that exists where Brian mentions that song, and then Stewie goes, "Really, Brian? Mention the 2 people who sing that song." And then he's just like, "Oh, you know, it's 2 guys. They're brothers, I want to say." And then Stewie just tells him, and he goes, "God damn it, I knew that already. I didn't need you to tell me."
That totally sounds like a Family Guy thing. The only reason I know who Grover Washington is because that one single song. Couldn't tell you a thing about the guy. And he doesn't even spit any bars. He's playing instruments, but it's all Bill Withers singing.
What are y'all's favorite cocktails? Also, it's awesome. I'm so glad to have joined the fam. Thank you for tuning in, sticking around, man. I appreciate it. I appreciate you being here. What are y'all's favorite cocktails? Manhattans, daiquiris, cold brew coffee, and lattes are my favorite drinks to make or partake at any point in time.
You know, I like a good margarita. I'm simple.
I had a really good margarita actually last night. This feels like a big podcast setup, but clearly we didn't stage this question. I had a really good margarita that reminded me of bartender's secret weapon. A good bartender's secret weapon in making a margarita is applesauce.
Really? Why?
Because apples and limes have the same carbohydrate, or they have relatively the same carbohydrate density and acidity. So you can substitute a little bit of the lime if it's too astringent, and the apple will have a little bit more sugar, so it will give it more of that body. And applesauce has more sugar and less water, so it doesn't water down your cocktail. Some bartenders will use apple juice, which is still better than making your regular margarita. Whether you're making it traditionally, or Tommy's style, or traditionally. You heard me. You can, the best thing that you can do is take a little bit, I would like take about a 1/4 ounce of your lime juice out and sub that for about a 1/4 ounce of apple juice, or apple sauce. It'll give it more viscosity, it'll give it more body, it'll give it a lot more depth. You'll be able to taste more of the tequila because it won't be so washed out by the acidity of the lime. Try it at home, or ask your bartender to do it. And if they don't have apple sauce, you can do the same thing with apple juice. It's just better.
Sounds pretty good. Have you ever had a margarita with mezcal?
Yeah.
I'm a fan of those. I actually really like mezcal. I don't know too many others who do, but I prefer...
It's an acquired taste for a lot of people. It's all of the like smokiness and the like harsh flavor that I love about Scotch without any of the frills of like oak aging and all of that stuff. It's just that smokiness, and it's so pure that you can add that to pretty much anything if you want to get that extra dimension into whatever that is. I've never been to a bar. What should my first drink be? I'm just turning 21 soon.
Well, happy early birthday.
Yeah, happy early birthday for sure. I don't know how soon you're turning 21, but if you want to order a cocktail, it's gonna depend on your specific taste. Whatever you do, do not ask the bartender for their favorite drink, because if you were to ask me for that, you're gonna get a shot and a beer. The shot is gonna taste awful, and the beer is gonna be cheap because I don't have a whole lot of money. That's my favorite drink. What you should do instead is decide if you're... First of all, you've decided that you want to get a cocktail, right? That's already big, because a lot of people don't know, should I order beer, should I order wine, should I order hard liquor, should I get a cocktail? So if you've decided on a cocktail, you've already gotten most of the way to making that decision for yourself. There are really two main kinds of cocktails. You have like shaken, like refreshing kind of cocktails that are typically very, very cold. And then you have boozy, stirred, like liquor forward cocktails, like an old fashioned or a Manhattan. So it depends on what side of that you want to fall on. But you should be able to ask for a recommendation from your bartender with just that. You should be able to tell them, I want something shaken, refreshing, and I want a cocktail. What can you make for me that is that? And that's going to take you further than going up to them and saying, I want a daiquiri, or I want a mojito, or whatever. Because maybe their daiquiris and mojitos are terrible, but maybe they make a really good sidecar, they make a really good margarita. So...
Also a good idea to figure out, once you do start dabbling in the alcohol world, figure out what your like go-to alcohol is, I would say. Because...
Yeah.
That, I mean, in one sense it limits your options, but also it kind of on the flip side of that same token, not really, because there's, I mean, you know better than anybody.
In cocktails, you should never limit yourself to like, I just don't like whiskey, so I don't like whiskey cocktails. You should never do that, because the point of a cocktail most of the time is not going to be to enhance or like elevate that whiskey flavor. The main exceptions would be for whiskey specifically, and there are exceptions for all of these different base liquors, but Manhattans and Old Fashions, both of those are specifically designed to bring out more flavor and elevate the flavor of the whiskey that you already have. But the point that I'm trying to make is that if you haven't had a whiskey that you liked, that doesn't mean that you should discount whiskey cocktails entirely.
Yeah, agreed.
But the best way to I think finding your preferential like liquor is also very valuable. But I don't necessarily know that translates to the cocktails that you like a lot of the time, because I love mezcal. It doesn't always work in cocktails. I need to be in a very specific mood to decide that I want like a mezcal paloma.
That's fair. That's fair.
I want a mezcal paloma though right now, with a little bit of elderflower in there, and then like some mint. Just.
Do you have mezcal?
No. But am I salivating? Yes.
That does sound good.
I don't have mezcal, but I do have very bad tequila.
Yeah,
I do.
That will need to be used at some point. Or it doesn't.
I'm not looking forward to that.
Well, that's alright.
Oh, did you know? Or have you realized, I guess, we're about to actually have to make these Uber beers soon, like maybe next week.
Sure did.
We're gonna have to start making those 1 gallon batches.
Well, I will have time. I'm definitely going to have time. Mobility may be a slight issue, but I will have the time.
That's okay. You're mostly gonna have to go through here.
Yeah,
just
that's fine.
from there to here and
I
back.
got that.
Maria G, welcome back, by the way. Hi, hello, long time no see. How's it going?
Hey,
Thank you for tuning in.
What's going on? Thanks so much. This is such amazing advice. There you see. Look, you helped somebody today.
Good. I'm glad. My biggest pox as a bartender was not dealing with people, because that sounds disingenuous. When you don't know how to act at a bar, it's through no fault of your own. And because of that, it does kind of feel like serving children sometimes. So what I want to do, part of my mission, is to prepare people with this information and let them know how to have the best time when you do decide to go out to a bar.
Yeah.
And that includes like how to stay safe, how to not get taken advantage of in any respect when you go to the bar, and also to make sure that you order a drink in such a way that you should be guaranteed to actually enjoy the stuff that you order when you get there.
Thanks.
If I can do that, if I can make that difference for anybody, then I've achieved my mission, I guess, here in social media. That's my main thing.
There we go. God bless. Or whatever you believe in. Or don't. Like I said, I'm not here to tell you what to do. But again, Cash App is if you do want me to do that.
Yeah, but also my Cash App, if you do want me to tell you what you have to do.
I will tell the shit out of whatever you want me to tell you to do. I think I'm muddled up those words a little bit, but you know what I mean. Hey, I'm not here to tell you what to do, alright? But again, Cash App.
But I can't
Let
be.
me know. But thank you.
But I could be.
I'm using way too many words to say something very simple.
Pretty good. How have you been? And I believe you are achieving that goal. Thank you. I try. I just want to reach as many people as possible. I think like but to answer your question though, first, I've been great. It's been a while since you've been here, so a lot of stuff has happened. I went to Europe. I got engaged to Hannah, who you've probably seen
Not me.
during the live stream.
I know what a lot of you guys are thinking. Not
Dylan
me.
and I didn't get engaged, which we realized is because I'm a top and that would never work.
Correct.
That's a callback. You like that one?
I did.
That was good.
I did. That was good.
I thought of another joke, actually. Congratulations. Thank you. I appreciate it. I don't have a ring yet. I'm waiting for him to get me a ring. Oh, Lord. Where is this joke? Here. So, I've been writing stuff for a stand-up set for a long time. And even when I just think of a punchline, this doesn't typically happen to me, but I thought of a punchline and I was like, this is something I need to build backwards. Because it is a punchline that would work very well on SNL. And the punchline is kind of like power bottoms. Because I don't want you to give it to me. I want to take it from you. And it's a phrase that I feel like would be very easy to build into a skit as a non sequitur,
Oh, yeah.
as a thing that would make no sense otherwise.
Oh, yeah.
But the coded language is so strong that I feel like it would be just a very good one-liner joke.
Oh, yeah. That was great.
The other one, which is, drinking is kind of weird, right? Like, you can drink too much and you can drink too early, and it's really hard to find that balance. So I was out with a friend, and he asks me if I want to take a shot, and I say, no, man, I'm already tipsy. So he goes, really? We've only had a couple of drinks. So I say, yeah, but I've already had about a dozen drinks today. So my friend looks at me, and he says, when did you start drinking? Like, do you think there's an upswing? Are you hoping I drank all of that in the last 2 hours, or are you hoping that I started drinking well before noon? So he says, no, I meant how old were you when you started drinking?
That's great. Classic misdirection. That was good.
I like it. I write stuff like that constantly. I'm not a writer and I'm not a comedian, but both of those things are actually goals of mine.
Same.
That's part of why Dylan and I do this, actually. Eventually, this is building directly into the Uber Beer project that we've been working on for a long time, but it will eventually feed into Remotely Funny, which is the segment that we're going to do where we prepare jokes and we have guests. And really the whole point of that will be to make people laugh instead of hanging out and stuff like that. And this will still be a great deal of that too.
Yeah.
But we want to invite like comedians and things to come and like try the material, remove the obstacle of having to book a venue and having to deliver in front of people and trying to translate what that immediate feedback feels like, and instead having like a Twitch audience and having me and Dylan to workshop stuff with comedians here in Charlotte and say, hey, this is what felt flat. Or the opposite, which could be like, hey, I don't know what it was about this joke, but chat loved it. Like, we had like 13 people in chat just immediately post as soon as you like wrapped the joke or as soon as you got to the punchline or catharsis or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
I think that's a big obstacle. It's the biggest obstacle for me as a stand-up comedian is finding a venue that I'm comfortable with. Because that's incredibly important, because you got to pick a venue that not only will have you, but will also have the kinds of people that you know you can make laugh.
Yeah.
So I like the idea that this will eventually evolve into a show where you and I do a cold open.
Yeah.
And then we're like, tonight's guest is going to be Youth Pastor Ryan. And then I would let Ryan, who's a friend of mine, I'd let him like riff a set or whatever, or I'd play a segment of his special or something, and then it would be like an armchair. Well, instead of an armchair late night show, it would be sitting at the bar.
It'll be a lot of it's kind of a similar format to what we're doing here. A lot of shooting the shit. There will be alcohol involved, but it's not alcohol centric like this is. But,
yeah. One of the differences is that like that tripod right there. You guys can't see this. This is for Dylan more than anybody else. But that tripod, we would hit camera 4, and then I would go over here, and I would just turn it this way, and we would have 2 of the chairs here, or none of them, or you would just have your comedian, and I would cut our mic, and they would have a handheld with Bluetooth, that they just like read their lines into the camera, and you're just trying to make the camera laugh, so to speak.
Yeah.
And I feel like we would start doing that by doing our cold calls directly, or cold opens directly into the mic.
Yeah.
And then we would also have a small portfolio of content. And then eventually that would build into our travel show.
Now, if that happens, oh boy, that's going to be a lot of fun. If that happens. If and when it happens. That's going to be
It's going to be wild.
It's going to be something else, for sure.
If you had told me when I was a wee lad, I mean, I could say if you told me last year that this is something that was even within the realm of possibility, I would have called you crazy. But if you told me this when I was like in high school, when I first met Dylan, that like, hey, you two, like you're gonna be personalities together, and you're gonna have the chance to maybe like just go around the world, Top Gear style, and just try a bunch of really cool shit. I'd be like,
get out of here.
I want whatever you're smoking, like. Who are you buying from and how much are they charging you? Because that sounds phenomenal.
That's some primo
I
stuff.
need some of whatever that is, and I didn't hear a word you said.
Right.
That would be me when I was younger.
Facts.
I have a very weird life now, but I'm glad that there's enough of me that's not swept up in everything that's going on to think like we could really make something significant out of what we have here.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's... Yeah, I mean, just even thinking...
Could you imagine just, like, having... if we had, like, 2 crew members with 2 or... I'd say 3. One for you, one for me, one for John Luke.
So the fact that we would have a crew is... That says it all right there, in my opinion.
That's how you...
You know what I mean?
Yes, that's true. But also, I don't think I'm jaded, but that's maybe the difference between me having like been in front of cameras, multiple cameras, and doing all this shit for myself for so long that like.
Oh yeah, good point.
having like 3 cameras, like just thinking of the crew and how differently we would be treated, but like the image of all of us landing in Geneva, and we're not like, except for maybe you, we're not like significant male specimens or anything. It's not like Chris Hemsworth, Chris Evans, and Chris Pine all landing somewhere. It's like, it's just a few weird looking dudes.
Yeah, different.
And in Europe, oh god, we're
unclassically sexy.
we would have a lot of very awkward attention, which is the attention I thrive on.
Yeah, same. Yeah, I fully anticipate that going damn near anywhere I go. And I'm okay with it. We're unclassically sexy. Non-classically, whatever. You know what I mean?
That's fair. If we were Top Gear hosts, who would we be?
Jesus.
I feel like I'd be James May.
Honestly, he's the only one I can remember by name off the top of my head.
I feel like you would be Jeremy Clarkson. And John Luke would be Hammond. Or I would be Hammond.
I know those names. I can't put the faces with the names right now.
James May is the long-haired bloke who is constant. He's the most savvy of the 3 in all situations. Just knows more about mechanically what's happening, historically what's happening, geographically where they are, and stuff like that. He is their encyclopedia, and because of that, he gets made fun of for being the nerd of the group. Clarkson is their
that's the older
like
guy, right?
macho. Yeah. Well, I mean, they're all
well.
I love you guys. If any of you see this later on, I love them all, but I do believe Clarkson is the oldest of the 3, and he's the big man. He's the one who like throws his weight around.
I think that's the one I can think of.
And Hammond, I feel like I would either be May or Hammond, but I'd be more likely to be May, and John Luke would be more likely to be Hammond because he is way more chaotic than I am.
Yeah.
Hammond is their. I don't mean to use this phrase derogatorily, but he's their like sprite that has the most energy all the time. I do believe he's the youngest, which is ironic because John Luke's older than the 2 of us. He's the one that's most keen to just be like, yeah, I have a car. It doesn't have doors. It doesn't have a roof. It doesn't have windows. It doesn't have AC, and it doesn't have a radio. But I have a car, and like that's the way that John Luke works. I think he would do that to the he would just be exactly. He'd be like, yeah, I'm here. I have a car, and it runs. And then we'd be like, John, like, you don't have doors, you don't have windows, you don't have AC, you don't have like a boot, you can't put anything in your car. And he would just be like, I'll just tie everything on my car.
You're missing.
You know how cheap rope is? That's John Luke to a T.
You're missing 80% of the steering wheel. Yeah, and what?
John Luke, your car has 3 wheels, and that's not even including your steering wheel.
Yeah, and we gotta figure it out. Yeah, that's John Luke.
Oh man, I feel like that would be us, and then I would, my role, John Luke's he'll surprise you as well. I think people, for some reason, expect these explanations from me, but we're also like really scientific. We're very clinical about how we describe certain things or appreciate certain things, which makes us very good at delivering on camera.
Yeah.
Because there are certain times when it's such a blessing to have you back here, because when I'm talking to nobody else in the room, even when I have people watching, when I'm talking to nobody else in the room, there are moments when I'm like trying to think about like least common denominator or like the top level explanation of what it is that I'm trying to get at.
Yeah.
And that gets a little bit frustrating because that's not how my brain is naturally wired.
Sure.
When I'm talking to you, Nick, Jacob, John Luke, even though Jake, sometimes the way that I speak gets completely over his head, you're so used to the way that I speak empirically about everything that it feels more natural to talk about this stuff in front of you than it is to try and explain it when there's nobody else in the room.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I agree. We're meant to be.
I'm excited. Yeah. I need to. Part of the reason that we've started talking about this, by the way, everyone, if you've just tuned in, there's a chance. There's a remote chance that we will get some sort of syndicated show. It's something that I want to put a lot of effort into, especially because that pipeline, the way that you actually pitch a show like this, has just been made abundantly clear to me. And I feel like we have a significant chance at actually putting on a good show. And when I say good, I mean, obviously, I mean entertaining. I know that we can be entertaining, otherwise we wouldn't have the following that we have now. I mean good insofar as, like, a lot of people would want to watch, and we could teach a lot of people a lot of stuff about many things.
Yeah.
Like, mechanically, industry stuff, socially, culturally, physically, talking about, like, health and fitness and stuff like that.
Something that has a little bit of everything.
Yeah,
basically.
I feel like halfway through the season there would be a moment when we would end up in the middle of nowhere, somewhere no one has ever heard of. We would end up in some place that doesn't get enough recognition. Like, maybe we'd end up in, like, Lille in France or something, which is a beautiful city. It's like Paris, just without all of the tourism. And so we would end up in a place like that, and then there would be a moment about halfway through the season where we would go, Dylan, you're like our main health, physical fitness kind of guy, and we've been eating this, and this. We've been drinking constantly all of the time. Like, what are actually the ramifications of this? Like, have you noticed a difference?
Yeah.
And just like having a sit down 20-minute segment where we go through that.
Yeah.
Is also part of that, I think.
Yeah, I kind of do that in my own personal life now. Like, if I go somewhere and I'm just eating whatever the fuck, drinking everything I can get my hands on, like, I do that now.
We'd also be able to remark on the fact that you've never been to Europe. Correct?
No, I am by far. I have no problem admitting, out of you, me, and your brother, I am by far the least cultured.
Okay. We'll try to fix that. But when you do travel internationally, you'll notice that there are some staple foods that don't have the same effect on your body. So here, there's a prevailing myth that, like, you can't eat cheese, you can't eat gluten. There are all these things, and, like, people have all these different stomach problems. But the thing is, these same people, when they travel overseas and they go to Europe, and it's like you eat, like, fondue, and, like, you drink straight from a chocolate fountain, and you do all of these crazy things that in the US would be deemed super unhealthy, and they don't affect your stomach. In fact, fondue might have saved my life one night that I was there, that I was up too late, drinking too much, and because of the fondue, I think I managed to make it over that hump.
Nice. Well, cheers for cheese.
Cheers to fondue.
Yeah. Do you think it has something to do with the water quality over there?
I think it's the water quality, in some respect, but also their FDA works a little bit differently than ours does. In point of fact, they don't have a FDA specifically. They have a different sort of, like, food governing body over there. But, like, to one example, did you know that here we have to refrigerate our eggs, right?
Yeah.
In Europe, they don't. They leave their eggs out on the counter. Do you know why?
No.
Because the eggs naturally have a film around them that protects them from infection or anything on the outside in Europe. But when they are brought to the US, that film is washed off of them.
Oh.
So we have to keep ours in the fridge to keep them good.
Huh. Interesting.
That's just eggs. And think about how many things you need eggs for.
Another example I can think of what you're talking about, like with your fondue example. I hear, like, the way pasta, like, sits on your stomach over there is way different than it is here. Like, I'm not a pasta fan. I never really have been. But I know if I'm in Italy, I'm gonna eat the shit out of some pasta, and I know it's gonna. I just know off the rip, it's gonna generally sit a lot better with me, and I'm gonna enjoy it more.
There's a lack of plastic in their food. I dislike most cheese. And that might inflame some people in chat, but bear with me. I don't like most cheese here in the US. And I've hated fondue ever since I was a kid. I just didn't like it. Tasted like plastic, tasted like burnt plastic. We went to Switzerland and we went to a restaurant called Le Caribou, and our waiter recommended fondue to us. And Hannah was like, "You gotta try it," and I was trying to talk her out of it. And she was kind of like, "Listen, We're in Switzerland. We're in the French-speaking part of Switzerland. Our waiter doesn't speak a whole lot of English. Love the man, by the way. Great service. Our waiter doesn't speak a whole lot of English. He's already made it clear that he really wants us to have the best time we can have. I don't think he would have recommended the fondue if he didn't think it was gonna like rock your world.
Yeah. He's not recommending the chicken club.
I love that fondue. That one specifically. I dipped potatoes in there. I was just dipping bread all up in the cheese, getting all the crusty parts on the side of the thing. And it was a 3-minute walk from our Airbnb. 4.5-star restaurant on TripAdvisor and Yelp and it was weird that it wasn't busier with like if there was a restaurant like that here in Charlotte, it would be full as soon as it opened.
Consistently. Damn, that sounds so good. I want fondue now.
We're gonna travel. We're gonna get fondue. We're gonna go snowboarding. We're gonna go paintballing. Did I tell you about the place in where my family is in Belgium that they took us to eat? I was talking to John Luke about this while we were grabbing late lunch, dinner, whatever, earlier. My family in Belgium, after this, they took us back to one of their houses. We all had cake and beer and stuff, and I cried, they cried. It was actually a very touching moment between all of us. Before that, they invited us out to dinner to this place. They had to pick us up in Lille, drive us 30 minutes into Comines, which is on the Belgian side of Comines. And they brought us to this place, and they were like, look, if you see up there, that's where they start skiing. And we look up, and have you ever been to Topgolf?
Yeah.
It's like if you took a section of Topgolf, it is that much space, and it's all closed in, and that's skiing and snowboarding. Okay. From like, I don't even know how many feet up they were.
Wow.
And they have like a little kids section next to it too, where like your kids can learn to snowboard. And Hannah and I were saying like we need to come back with Rosalie. But there's that. There's also a restaurant and a bar, and another bar. Next to the other bar, there is indoor skydiving. And then outside, under the ski slopes, there's a paintball range. And above the paintball range, there is a ropes course.
Holy shit, this place sounds sick.
Right?
Damn.
And when we were in Lille, the Airbnb that we stayed at, through another weird chance of just me being good at picking spots that have interesting things nearby, and Europe having an unusually high concentration of interesting things all come together at all times. Our Airbnb was a block away from this place called Dernier Bar au fin du monde, which means Dernier's bar at the end of the world. And when I first saw that, I was just like, oh, thank God, there's a bar nearby. And then I looked at it. It's like the coolest, like, gaming, fantasy, sci-fi, comic book, nerd culture bar I have ever seen.
Man.
Like, it put Abari to shame.
I believe it.
They like the first thing you see when you walk into the foyer before you actually get into the bar, because they have like a small area where you're not outside and you're not inside, but you're not smoking.
Yeah.
They have a small area. The first thing that greets you is a Yoda that has like cards and menus and stuff.
Nice.
And you walk in there. It's 3 different levels. One of the levels is for like gaming. They have a PS4 that you can use. They have a Switch that you can use. They have a bunch of like card games and things there, obviously, as well. All of their drinks are themed after like nerd shit.
Yeah, I wanna go.
So yeah, so like one of them was Speed à Couchon, which is spider pig in French.
Hell yeah.
That was a really, really cool place, but there are many reasons why we decided if we were to go back and try and visit family, we probably wouldn't go directly to Comines. We'd probably stay in Lille and grab a car or something to go into Comines for certain things, like going paintballing or whatever.
I'm so down. I'm ready. Let's do it.
I kind of want to talk to Hannah about like, hey, could we do this as like my bachelor party?
That's perfect. I mean, that would be perfect.
It's it's an expensive plane ticket though.
It's alright. But it's a invaluable experience, I'm sure.
That's true.
So
I would want my cousin Reggie to be there, Alexandre, maybe Tonton Michel, maybe Tonton Petron, maybe some of the other guys in my family. I feel like we would all just have a blast. And they would love meeting, obviously they would love meeting John Luke, because John Luke is my other half, but they would love meeting you as well. Or like Nick or Jacob, anyone else that we could bring up there with us.
These weird Americans. I'm cool with it.
It's like, yeah, this is the third part of my family. Like, you're one part of my family. Bati's side of the family is one side of my family. This is my side of the family.
Yeah.
These are my brothers.
Yeah. This is North Carolina, son. Homegrown. North Carolina, homegrown. Cool, yeah. We're healthy. Have fun. Oh, okay. I understand that part now. I live in the wrong Europe. Damn. What do you think's the wackest country in Europe?
Russia.
That was too easy. Too easy. Way too easy. Alright, let me rephrase. What do you think is the most overrated? Like that that serves as like a really, big tourist destination or something. And it's really not all it's cracked up to be. Either from personal experience or just what you would suspect.
I want to say Italy. I think it's over touristy, I think, for many people. And it's not to say that Italy isn't beautiful and it doesn't warrant being visited. It's just that I think that there's so much to gain from visiting that ends up being diminished by how many people, just the volume of people who are there ruining the experience for other people.
Yeah.
I would say, and it's not just my opinion, it's something that's been reinforced by several of my other friends who have been to Europe. Jacob even, he was stationed in Afghanistan but had to travel through Europe to get back to the US, basically spending a week in all these different capitals. He said the best place to go is actually Portugal and Spain. Those places are what you think you're going to get when you go to Italy.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So he was like, all these people go to Italy and they're like upset that like stuff's too expensive and there's not enough space and there's too many people and all this stuff. And they expect it to be this like wide countryside romantic experience or whatever. You don't get that in Italy unless you put the extra effort into finding that experience specifically. But you're not going to get that and see the Roman Colosseum.
Right.
So he said that he would rather go to Portugal or Spain, anywhere in there. So Lisbon and Portugal, obviously. But in Spain, he said Barcelona, Madrid, and then there was one other city that he was in, and he was like, yeah, that's where you get the stuff that you imagine you should get in Italy. But he was like, when I was in Italy, it wasn't like that at all.
Yeah. I was kind of leaning towards seeing Italy. BRB.
You let me know how it comes out. I'm good. I don't think the mic will pick you up. France, Italy, and maybe Germany for Europeans. Yeah. I don't know, but I feel like now that I've done this, I think a good way of seeing France, Italy, and Germany is to give yourself time, as if that's something people can do. It depends on how much time you have. If you're fortunate enough to be able to take at least 7 days worth of time, you will be better served arriving in Switzerland or around the Alps and then using a Eurail or some sort of railroad pass to see the neighboring countries. If you don't have that much time, or you don't want to spend so much of your trip on trains to try and visit these different locations, then you would probably be better off arriving in one of those places specifically, if that makes sense. the next time that we go back, one of the big things that we learned from this last trip to Europe is that we would go back to Lille. We would fly directly into Lille, and we would fly out of Lille. We would get an Airbnb while we were there, and we would plan to entertain my family. We would invite them 30 minutes from Comines into Lille to make them drinks, make them dinner, make them an American dinner even, and just kind of, it's something that's really important to Hannah and I now that we've gone there and they've shown us how they treat guests there. It is almost easier for us to go back and then bring them to wherever we're staying and show them this is how we treat guests in the U.S. We want you to be our guests now.
Southern hospitality, boy. Which is a real thing.
It 100% is. It
really
like
is.
threw people off when we were in France too.
It really is.
Not because they're intrinsically rude there, because they appreciate when you're being polite. But like we had a lot of like people who would greet us with just very stern responses to things like, "Hey, listen, you need to go over here. You have to do this thing," and then we would go, "Pardon, est-ce que c'est je ne comprends pas?" And we were like trying to like wobble our way through the little bit of French that we knew, and they would go, "Oh, listen, I'm sorry, I didn't know you didn't speak that much French. This is how it is here. If you're trying to go here or whatever, you have to go over there and make a left and do whatever." But people were really caught off guard that we were American and we were polite.
Which is kind of sad, but that's what I would expect people to think of us abroad.
I will say we were a little bit, I was a little bit sheltered. Because in my head, the first place that we went when we got into Switzerland, we had to take a train from the airport station to the main station in Geneva. And from there, we needed to take a train to Lille that had one stop in Lyon in France. So we got off in Lyon. We had like an hour and a half, 2 hours. We get off the train. I'm starving because we pretty much immediately got on trains after getting off the plane. And I was like, oh, look, they have a Subway. I know how to order at Subway. You know how hard it is to order at Subway when you don't speak the native language? Think about this really quickly. When you go and order a sandwich at a sandwich shop, how many things do you need to tell the person making your sandwich? I didn't think about all that stuff. So I was like, yeah, there's Subway right there. I know how to order from Subway. We walk in there, we get in line, and suddenly I realize there are people in line going, "Oui, bonjour, est-ce que j'ai le pont de l'Italien?" And like saying all this shit in French, and I'm like, oh my god, what am I gonna do when I get to the front of the line? I had learned enough in line that I was like, I know how to order my sandwich. As soon as it gets down to veggies, which is légumes in French, I was like, I'm just gonna order the 3 veggies that sound the same in English. As soon as I get down there and I hear the word légumes, I'm gonna go, oui, les oignons, et les lettuce, et les tomates. Onions, lettuce, and tomato. And that worked, and then I realized I needed to explain to the cashier that my girlfriend and I were paying together, and that I didn't want any chips or cookies or anything like that. So I got to the end of the thing, and everyone had spoken French with me the entire time. They were speaking English to Hannah because she gave up on French very quickly there, because it was really the first interaction we had. And the lady at the cash register says a whole bunch of stuff in French. And she sees me go, qu'est-ce que c'est? And like she can tell that I'm confused. And then Hannah just goes, we're paying together. And she's, the cashier goes, oh, it's that the two of you are together paying as one. Oh yeah, okay. And then we're like, yeah, but okay, now that we're doing English, can we get 2 Pepsis and like no cookies and stuff? It was weird, and also a humbling experience.
Yeah, I totally would have, like I probably would have tapped out on French very early. Like, yeah, let me get the meatball sub.
It should have been a dead giveaway because in my head, this is really how ignorant I am. I got up there and I go, oui, bonjour. Est-ce que j'ai le pain italien et le italien BMT. I walked up and I knew everything up to the letters because my brain was like, I know how to say Italian and French. That should be great. BMT's got to be the same thing. The guy really, really gave me the benefit of the doubt.
God bless.
And it can't be that different. I feel like in French it's probably like BMT something.
Yeah. It's hilarious.
But my French was like pretty perfect up to that point. I was like, hello, yes, I would like the Italian bread and the Italian BMT.
Yeah, I have no doubt I would have fucked up about 4 or 5 words in.
Il y a fromage, monsieur? No, pas fromage, pas fromage.
I would have started.
The cheese? No, no cheese, no cheese. Il y a sauce? Pesos, pesos.
I would have.
Okay. And then we get to the end, and they were like, something, a bunch of words I can't remember because I didn't understand them, and I was like, all of the words got garbled together.
I would have stepped in a line and I would have done the most stereotypical French laugh I could muster, and then immediately after that,
Oh my god.
but that girls, ooh la la, but that girls.
In point of fact, I actually only heard ooh la la once while I was there,
La la.
and it was used jokingly. They're self-aware.
Well, that's good.
It's also not the same. We say ooh la la, they say like oh la la.
Oh la la.
Yeah. It's ooh la la. Have you seen the Craig Ferguson skits when he's cursing and it gets censored? They don't use a censor bleep. They use somebody going ooh la la.
Oh, when you say Craig Ferguson, at first I was thinking of Craig Robinson.
No, the Scottish
Yeah.
nighttime person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, late night host, I guess.
Yeah, there we go.
Craig Robinson is also, he makes me LOL. Big time. Yeah, man. We need to make this trip out.
I want to.
At the bare minimum for a bachelor's party. At the bare minimum. If not before then.
I feel like if I'm gonna do that, I would need to give everyone a heads up that like, hey, you're gonna want to save up like about this much money, but we're all gonna split an Airbnb or whatever, and like clearly I know how to get around when we get there. Je parle pas français. Like I speak a little bit of French. I understand a lot. Weird thing, by the way, I have been fluent in French at one point in my life. Hannah understands way more French than I do.
Damn. That's impressive.
I don't know how and I don't know why. But like, she got all the jokes that my family was making while we were out there. And I had to look at her and go,
Wish I could little French manual trying to translate.
no, I would just look at Hannah and she'd be like, oh, I think he's saying that this thing about this person and he said this thing about his wife and I'm like, what? How do you... Huh? How do you get all of that context from a bunch of words you don't understand from people who don't speak with their hands? There was one, Toto Michel speaks with his hands.
God, I wish I was like that. I'm starting to get a little better that with Spanish. Like, I can understand it way better than I can speak it. Like, I'm getting, just being with Erica, like, I can pick up on a lot more Spanish. Like, I'll pick up, like, larger phrases or larger chunks of words and kind of make out what people are talking about. But one thing I cannot adapt to or have been unable to adapt to so far is at the speed in which sometimes Spanish speakers talk. Like, I've noticed, you know what I'm talking about. Like,
yes.
when it just gets to a speed and a pace where I'm just like.
Also, it's I don't remember the linguistic term for this, but Spanish is like Italian, and that is it is
Romance
convalescent. No,
Oh.
well, yes, that's true, but it's a language that all happens at the same time, meaning like somebody could be finishing what they're saying, and the next person can begin speaking, and they're not interrupting each other.
Oh.
There's just this moment when it's like everyone says what they need to say as soon as they need to say it.
Yeah, I know you.
That's why if you've ever been to dinner with an Italian family, there's never one person getting their word in edgewise. It is everybody speaking at the same time. there's a certain point where that happens with Spanish-speaking families as well, where you need to, if you want to be heard the way that we're used to being heard here in English, where it's like a wait for your turn, because there's a lot more in like word choice and diction and stuff like that. There's much more being communicated typically, rather than contextually. Or it's so contextual. It's stuff that like you need to be heard like very specifically. Whereas like Spanish is and Italian, they're very like feely languages. It's very much like talking about how you're feeling when you're feeling it. I don't necessarily have a better way to explain that, but I think that's probably why they're very handsy languages too.
Yeah.
One of the things that we said to my uncle was, je ne comprends pas français, mais je comprends tes parlements, which is like, I don't understand when you speak French, but I understand when you speak with your hands. Mm. Or I was more closely like, I understand when you speak the hands.
Same difference.
I miss that, man. I miss that half of my family.
What was prior to your trip? When was the last time you seen any of them?
When I was 2 or 3.
Oh damn!
Yeah, so almost 30 years. It was a surreal experience when I got there because
you're basically meeting brand new people.
Yeah, I mean, well, I was worried it would feel that way. I was worried that I would show up and it would be like, hey, we don't know you, but like, here's Belgium, I guess. It couldn't have been further from that. Like, I was more comfortable around them, even though I understood less about what they were saying to each other than anyone else that we got to hang out with the entire time that we were there, except maybe Lot. Except maybe the owner of the Ambassador Bar.
Yeah.
Because we just really clicked with him. We spent a lot of time with him. We hung out with him, and he made an effort to hang out with us too. It was just this profound, like there weren't really boundaries, really, I guess. It felt like actually hanging out with your family.
Yeah, nice. It's pretty cool.
Is it Hi Soyo? Welcome. Thank you for the follow on Twitch. I appreciate it. How's it going?
God, I need glasses. That also happens with English. Using your hands makes it easier to understand what you say. Yeah, that's true.
I think it's because English... I may have misspoken earlier. I think it's because English is a contextual language rather than an aesthetic one.
I think... Now that I think about it, I think that English more heavily relies on facial expression than it does hand movement. In my opinion, in my experience. Like, I feel like like when I'm speaking, like if we're talking or I'm just talking to somebody, I feel like I can convey more what they're trying to get across based on what their face says rather than what they're doing with their hands. That's just me. You know what I mean?
I guess I get that. I feel like hands are almost really aggressive for English speakers. It says you can speak louder with your hands than you can with your face. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, so there are times when you could be saying something and your face could communicate one thing by itself, and as soon as you begin involving your hands, it can tilt it way too far in one direction or the other.
For sure.
Liam Beans, welcome. Thank you for tuning in. Howdy. Hi. Hello. Welcome. Thank you so much for tuning in on Twitch and saying hi in chat. I appreciate it. How's it going?
It's good. What's happening?
With German, for example, there is just no hope. So like, it's hard to think of an example of this because like it's, I guess as native speakers, we don't think about this so strongly, but the idea that I could tell you, I'll try and think of an example. I'll try and generate an example. There's a difference between me looking at Dylan and telling him with my face, hey man, you trying to get a drink? And if I use my hands and I go, hey man, trying to get a drink? That's two very different vibes.
Yeah, for sure.
And if it was me, if I was Dylan, I would probably say yes to the first one. I would immediately say no to the second one.
Yeah, you're probably right. Knowing how, well...
Because we're just not like that. We don't hit each other. It would make more sense.
I don't do
Well,
that to
it would
anybody.
still even be fucking weird if we were like, hey man.
You trying to drink?
Yeah,
It's
it would
it's
just.
not a
That's
thing.
too aggressive. We're not.
I ain't doing all that.
If you if you touch me, if you like grab me or do something with your hands to really grab my attention, then I am pulled so far in that I expect you to tell me something serious.
Some real shit.
If you do that and you're like, I'm just trying to grab a drink, I'm gonna be like, what is wrong with you, dude? You didn't need to shout at me.
Yeah.
Like basically physically.
Yeah, that's something that's reserved for frat bros. I feel like it should.
That's a pecking order thing, I think, when you're younger, when you're in your like late teens, meaning very like 18, 19,
Yeah, you probably.
and in your early 20s. I think it's a pecking order thing. It's a like a status thing to just touch people.
Like, hey, dude, you trying to go to the bar? You trying to get drunk? You trying to like that?
Yeah. And if somebody did that to me now, I'd be like, no.
No.
Leave me alone. I'm gonna go to the gas station and buy a 6-pack. I don't give a shit what you do.
Yeah, we are also 30. We're not 20, 21, 22 anymore. I ain't trying to do all that. I'd much rather take a 6-pack, a 12-pack, really, if I'm being honest, back to the house and do whatever I want at the house more often than not.
Yeah. You get a 12-pack. Maybe you don't even drink all of it. Maybe.
Or
But maybe you do.
Probably I do.
The limitations are, the possibilities are endless.
That's right. The
With
only
a
limit.
12-pack, but when you get a 6-pack, possibilities have limits. You could really only go that deep. But with a 12-pack, it's like, how crazy could it get?
Well, and the biggest, one of the biggest obstacles to that, it's kind of hard to find a 12-pack with some higher octane stuff too. In my experience, like I can't even think.
Yeah, like anything that's over like 8%, I guess. But if you found that,
It would be really expensive too.
also it'd be harder than taking shots of liquor. Like
Oh yeah, for sure.
beer, because of how much you drink when you drink a single serving of beer, like it is stronger than drinking a cocktail if you, at a certain ABV. When you're over like I think 7%, it's been years since I did this math. But when you drink any beer that is over 7% ABV, so a lot of like higher gravity IPAs, double IPAs, a lot of Belgian beers, or anything that's been fortified, those are stronger than a single cocktail. And I think that a lot of that, nobody educates people on this stuff, and nobody bothers to do the math because we're raised, or at least here in the U.S., I'm not speaking ubiquitously for the rest of the world. Here, we're raised to think that one beer is a drink, one cocktail is a drink, one glass of wine is a drink, and one shot of hard liquor is a drink.
Yeah.
And
sure.
that isn't super duper true. So like in Europe, by the way, in the UK specifically, they don't measure drinks as quote unquote drinks the way we do here in the US. They measure them in units. That's just what they call them. So like a glass of red wine is 3 units. A beer is 2 units. A glass of white wine I think is 1 or 2 units. 1 ounce or 30 milliliters, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, 30 milliliters of hard liquor, 80 proof hard liquor is 1 unit.
Huh.
And yeah, when you start breaking it down that way, like it all makes sense because I can drink a lot of hard liquor throughout the day, but if I have like 3 beers, I'm like curled up on the floor.
You've kind of always been that way too, as long as I've known you. Like you are a beer guy and that you like beer, but in terms of how much you can willingly, how much your body can willingly accept, it's not where the liquor is. And my problem is, it's hot. I can do a lot of either, and both at the same time usually.
Can confirm.
Yeah,
100% true.
yeah. So that gets me in potentially sticky situations at times.
I feel like that would be part of our travel vlog, would just be like Jean-Luc and I would think of weird positions to put you in because you are so massive. And just being like, hey, we told Dylan today that his challenge is that he has to be in this place. And like you just have to, it would be some place that's like very old with like like doorways where you walk up and you're like God, we're gonna do the same thing again when I have to leave. Alright, where are we?
Yeah. I mean, I've already had to do that in a couple places.
I feel like we would stage it as part of the show. Like,
Yeah.
if we were going to go down to Colombia, John-Luc and I would be like, yeah, we're going to go to La Catedral de Sal. We're going to go to the Salt Cathedral, which is a mine. So there's a lot of, like, narrow openings. And then we'd be like, yeah, the place we have to go to is right through here. And then we'd ask you to squeeze through something. And then you'd be looking back at the camera guy like, what are you guys doing? What's supposed to be over here? And we'd be like, oh, nothing. We just wanted to see if you could fit through there. The bar is actually this way. And you'd be like, God damn it.
Gotta get through this little cubby hole. Yeah, that's been a problem before. Many times, more so than doors, when I've been in like public restrooms, like the urinal stalls, they've been so narrow to where I have to like kind of shift my shoulders in to like fit into the dividers.
I feel like that would be something in every episode. Would just be like, we need to have a vignette of Dylan not being able to fit into something.
Yeah, yeah. Do you remember?
You know what we would do? I would do this. I would be like, guys, I found this really awesome road that we're gonna drive through. Okay, part of it is on the Autobahn. No speed limits, okay? I got everybody's cars. We're gonna be driving from, not Nice. We'll say we're gonna be driving from Lille through, we wouldn't need to go through Comines, but we would go directly into Germany, find the Autobahn, drive through the Autobahn into Austria or something. I would be driving something normal, like I'd be driving a Renault, John-Luc would be driving a Peugeot, and then we'd give you a smart car. Or a Fiat.
Yeah, like John-Luc's.
And then it would just be like Dylan walking up to it like, my car better be behind this one. Because like a smart car for you would come up to like here.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And just like you opening up the door and just like the shocks going.
I probably weigh about the same as a smart car.
But you know what? It probably, with all the challenges that we could have for that road trip, a smart car would probably go further than like a Peugeot or Renault or anything like that.
Probably. Do you remember? So, let's see if you remember this. You remember the single time we went paintballing together?
Yes.
Do you remember how it took 3 people to get a footing on me? We're talking about me not being able to fit into things. It's you, John-Luc, and Joel had to like to get it on and off me. Because I was wearing like a hoodie smaller than I would normally wear it for obvious reasons, playing paintball. But that just popped in my mind of an example of one of the many instances in my life where I'm having difficulty fitting into something.
Oh, I could reach out to Paris Eternals and see if they want to. That's the Overwatch League team in Paris. And see if they would want to have us there for a scrimmage match for us to embarrass ourselves.
Oh yeah, I'll embarrass the shit out of myself. I do it all the time. Do it at home, I'll do it abroad. I don't care.
Or we would be like, yeah, the 3 of us, we're going to cast your game. And then it's the implicit joke, obviously, is that only one of us really understands remotely. I don't know that much about Overwatch, but like, of the 3 of us, I'm the only one that knows anything about what would be going on. I feel like it would be a lot of like me going, oh, he's this character over here, he's picked Hanzo, he's gonna try and line up the shot, try and shoot it through the wall with his super or with his ultimate and try and hit all the teammates on the other side. And then like the stuff from you and John-Luc would be like, yeah, the vaguely Indian robot with 4 hands is trying to throw his balls at the enemy team, I guess.
Oh yeah.
And then the very large angry German character who maybe is a Nazi, probably not. He's holding up some kind of shield that I guess is keeping the enemy team from taking damage. Like, it would be that dichotomy in the casting.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's pretty much my only way of being able to navigate around that.
Oh, so to that point of fact, when we were talking about like units of alcohol, units of drinks, and how much you had to drink, It doesn't make sense the way that we're taught here in the U.S. because we're taught like one shot is one drink, one cocktail is one drink, one beer, one glass of wine is one drink, regardless. But if you think about it, even on the surface, if you think about it at all for any amount of time, it doesn't make any sense because our typical shot of hard liquor is typically an 80 proof liquor. But if you take a shot of something like Rumple Mints, which is very easy to find, which is 100 proof, that is 25% stronger. Which means if you take 4 shots, you've really taken 5 shots of your what you would be used to as a regular hard liquor.
That makes sense. What's for nets? Maybe
39 or 40, I think, percent. Fireball is 66%. 66.6. I think, or it's just 66%, I think, or 66 proof.
You think they did that on purpose?
Yeah, I think so.
They would add those.
That would have to be a remarkable accident if they were like, yeah, this is just where it's consistent, this is where it tastes good, right at 66%.
Or 66.
Isn't your logo a devil? I don't know what you're talking about.
That's not what that is. What are you talking about? It's
Yeah, so is Duke's.
a griffin with a tail.
I don't see you going over giving Duke a hard time about having 66 players on their team. That's because they don't. Yeah, that's why you're not over there giving them a hard time. Why are you giving me a hard time?
Just take your drink. Get out of here.
Yeah, I wanted a vodka soda. Would you just leave?
You get fireball. Just wanted a vodka soda.
Why are you still here? I feel like that's another like concept that I would really want to do would be a service industry like sitcom's not really the right word, but something along the vein of like Bob's Burgers meets New Girl.
Is that the one with
Zoe Deschanel.
what's the show with Mindy Kaling, I think is her name? She's from The Office.
Mindy Project?
Oh, is that what it's called?
Yes.
That's definitely not the New Girl then, is it?
I think an office style one would be really good too. An office style service industry one where you have these vignettes where you're either the camera is speaking to guests or the camera is speaking to front of house or the camera is speaking to back of house.
Yeah.
And just showing like where those boundaries are and what really happens. There would be a lot also it's rife for chances for like sex and stuff like that too, because that is unfortunately it's a reality of the service industry. Like it happens.
Yeah, so I hear. I've never had a service industry job, so actually
that would be another challenge that we would do. We would go and I would contact Lot for the travel show and I'd be like, hey, I'm gonna be in Geneva. I'm gonna have my 2 friends with us. I need you to pick a Friday or Saturday night and we will be behind the bar making the drinks.
oh lord.
And I would give him like 2 weeks to drum up the publicity for it. It's he can get a lot of people in there, but based on the most people he's had in there at one time, I could serve all those people in 30 minutes at a time.
So how many people are we talking, more or less?
I think he told me 120. My record is 250.
Oh damn. Okay.
Yeah.
Shit. You served 250 people in half an hour? Damn, son. That's impressive.
Well, it's not 250 people asking for a mojito. It's like 250 people and maybe 230 of them are actually just like, can I get a glass of your red? Can I get a glass of your white wine? I want a sweet white. I want a dry white. I want your sparkling wine. Can I get a vodka soda? Very few people, like maybe 20 to 25 people would be like, I want a Moscow Mule, but you can build in a glass. Almost nobody's gonna be like, oh, you got everything you need back there to make a extra dry martini with a lemon twist? Like,
And a little umbrella.
yeah. I ain't putting an umbrella in a martini. Don't do that.
What's there's a drink where light up to the umbrella, right?
Mai Tai, maybe?
Is that what it is? No.
Tiki drinks in general, but the Mai Tai is the kind of the blueprint for a lot of tiki drinks. A tiki drink is someone will correct me on this, and I'm prepared to be wrong, but a tiki drink is kind of like a mix of an overproof liquor, which is typically rum, mixed with a regular proof liquor, mixed with a syrup, a cordial, sweetener, sour. It has a lot of ingredients in it. It's a very busy drink, but it's good. They're typically very well balanced. Sometimes things are on fire. I have never asked for a suggestion, but could you suggest a cocktail for when you want to try something different?
That's a great question.
From Maria G. The cocktail that I normally recommend to people if you're going into a bar and you don't know what to order in general is a Cosmopolitan. And the reason for that is because a Cosmopolitan is a version of a sidecar. Some reasoning withstanding. What that means, by the way, though, is that if you order a Cosmopolitan, it's very easy to modify based on what you want to change about the drink in general. If you want it to be a little bit more acidic, a little bit more crisp, and refreshing on your palate, you can add more lime juice. If you want it to be a little bit more sweet, you can add more cranberry juice, or you can add more Cointreau. If you want it to be more alcoholic, you can add regular vodka, or you can add citron vodka if you really want to step it up a notch. But each of the ingredients is so empirical to what it adds to the drink as a whole that modifying it to get it perfect for your specific palate is pretty easy. You just have to put in the work into ordering probably more than one. And if you're out drinking, hopefully you are ordering more than one.
Yeah, that'd be ideal. I recommend
It's
that.
the easiest drink to start the night with because by the end of the night you should be able to dial it into exactly what you want. You should be able to tell the bartender, like, hey, can I get a Cosmopolitan, a little bit less lime, a little bit more cranberry juice? Can I get a Cosmopolitan, like, no garnish, a little bit less vodka, a little bit more cranberry juice, a little bit less lime juice, or whatever. Like, it's very easy to modify those ingredients to get it to taste just like what you want at the time.
Is there in your opinion, or your experience, is there a most annoying drink to have to make? Just in terms of, like, the effort that it requires?
Either an espresso martini or a mojito, depending on where you're working. So if you're working at a place that makes good espresso martinis, I'm going to let that sink in for some people who aren't paying attention. If you're working at a place or you're sitting down at a place that makes good espresso martinis, they will take time because they have to pull the shots of espresso fresh for the drink.
That makes sense.
Likewise, there's sort of a same thing that's true about making not daiquiris, mojitos, because you need high quality mint. And beyond that, you also need a bartender who understands how to work the mint to get the right kind of flavor out of it. Because there's many things that you can do to treat it before it enters into your cocktail. You can slap it, you can blanch it, you can heat it up, cool it down, or whatever before you actually work it into your drink. You can shake it with everything else, or you can build it all up in a glass together. There's not one right way to do it, but depending on the quality of the mint that you start with and how your bartender treats it, those will make a world of difference in your final product. So those are probably the two that are the easiest to fuck up. But I wouldn't say that you should judge your bartender on their ability to make those two drinks.
What should I judge them on?
A daiquiri or a Manhattan. A daiquiri is the simplest shaken drink that you could fuck up, and a Manhattan is the simplest stirred drink that you could fuck up. A lot of people will say, oh, well, what, I could order an old-fashioned, but the thing is, like, even in the US, where the old-fashioned is native to, there's already more than one way to make it, and one of those ways is incredibly different, we'll say, and not wrong, even though it is. And that is the Midwestern old-fashioned, where you have muddled oranges, muddled cherries.
Barbecue sauce. Bad joke.
No, you don't have barbecue sauce or anything in there. But, like, compared to your classic old-fashioned recipe, which is just sugar, bitters, whiskey, and a little bit of water and some ice, like, adding muddled fruit and shit in there makes it a completely different kind of drink. So those are also not the when I walk into a bar, I need to do a whole series on this step, and I've talked to a couple of other bartenders bar owners on TikTok about this, that somebody needs to do a series on how to appraise a bar or restaurant when you first walk in, and what that tells you about what you should order, or if you should leave. Most bars, by the way, the chances that you will walk into a place that is doing things so poorly that you should have to leave is almost impossible, unless you're walking into a brand new restaurant or brand new bar.
Okay, so what's the biggest that you can think of? What's the biggest immediate red flag that should tell you to make a beeline for the exit?
It depends on what you want. If you want to go to a place that's going to make you really high quality craft cocktails, like the best mojito or the best espresso martini that you ever had before in your life, if you walk in, something that a lot of people don't realize, if the tables are too close together, leave. Because what that will tell you is that they are trying to seat and serve as many people as possible, which means they are not taking the time to make those drinks with enough care and attention that they should.
They're just concerned with volume, basically.
Exactly. And it's like small things like that when you're in the industry, it becomes second nature, that when you walk into a place, as soon as you walk in, I'm like, this place is doing high volume, maybe crafty cocktails, but they're not doing craft cocktails. And you look up, and then you can tell based on what they have on their back bar, or even just how big their back bar is, really what you should be expecting to be served when you walk in there. Sometimes that's great. If all you want is like a dive bar where you can go in and you can order like a tuna salad sandwich or something, and get a couple of shots of Jaeger and like a couple of beers on draft or whatever, and you're not expecting this like phenomenal service or phenomenal quality product, fine, great, whatever. That's there for people like that. And those bars will stay open probably forever. But if you're out on a date, and this is what would happen to me a lot, if you're out on a date and you walk into this bar and you're like, hey baby, I'm gonna treat you to these awesome drinks and stuff like that, you belly up to the bar and you don't know what to order, and you order something crazy like a mojito or an industry sour or something like that, and I have to try and figure out what exactly that is or what you want from that. That's a bit different.
Gotcha.
Wait, that's genius from Liam Beans. Yeah, the distance between the tables is a big thing. I spoke to Fuck, I forgot his last name. It begins with an F. I don't remember if it's Fernando or Fernandez. But I spoke to Louis, who actually owns a bar and is a bartender. I think he owns 3 bars, actually. Just around.
Alright.
I spoke to him about this, and he was like, oh, what do you mean people need to know the difference between different kinds of restaurants and bars? And I said, well, when you walk into a place and you notice that there's a lot of space, for me, that tells me that people are supposed to stand there or dance. If there's a big open space, that tells me I've walked into a club. And if I've walked into a club, the bartenders probably aren't taking the extra precautions and the extra steps and things that they need to make these really high quality craft cocktails, because they can't be. I understand that as somebody who's been in the industry. There's no way that you would have enough time unless you're taking time away from other guests, and that's also selfish. So the distance between tables is a huge thing for me when I walk into bars. If I walk in and the bars are too close together, that's fine. That just tells me I shouldn't order a mojito or an espresso martini, or maybe a Manhattan or a daiquiri. I should probably order shots and draft beer when I walk in there, because that place is probably a restaurant more than it is a bar.
Yeah.
If the tables are not too far apart, but if they're a little bit further apart, and typically places like this will have like couches that you can, like, not banquettes, which is different. A banquette is what we call a booth in the service industry. If instead of that they have like a couch in the middle and like these really nice, soft, luxurious places to sit, and like these picturesque like scenery and stuff like that, and the tables are further apart, what you've walked into is a lounge.
Like a hookah lounge.
Exactly. What you've walked into is a lounge, and that's the setting that my bar was at, the last bar that I worked at. And what that tells you is that they don't need to seat as many people, and they are never going to be serving as many people as long as people aren't standing up at the bar. So this is the bar that will take the time to do the extra steps to make your drink the best version of that drink that you have ever had. And that was our bar. And we did that very well, because the whole vibe as soon as you walked in was that it was like walking into your own living room. Because you could walk in for free, you just had to pay for the liquor when you got there.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that. I think I'm probably a lounge guy, just based on like everything you said.
Same.
I'd probably gravitate towards that.
Hannah and I are about to move to another house here in Charlotte. We just toured a place today that we were like kind of fell in love with.
Nice.
Hopefully we get it. We'll see if we get through the application process, because we need them to hold it until like the end of May. But there's like 3 bedrooms, so Rosalie will have like a whole room to herself. There's 2 living rooms and a garage.
Sick.
Which means that one of those living rooms will be what I have pitched to Hannah as the sitting room, which means that's where our baby grand piano will go, and some bookshelves, and a chaise lounge, which may also be a day bed, and a bar cart with the hookah on it. And next to that would be the office, which is where we would put the desks and things for me to do my live stream and stuff from.
Nice. Okay. Cool. What's the square footage on the place?
1256, I think.
Okay.
3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, but also 2 living rooms and a backyard.
Yeah, it's 1,200 square feet.
Yeah.
That sounds like a lot for.
It's a split level, so.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it. All right. That makes more sense. I was trying to picture all that in my head.
I'm excited for it if we can get it.
You can do it.
Because we walked through it today, and I was like, there's just so much we could do. Like, it could make our lives easier in so many different ways.
Yeah.
Chiefly, well, not chiefly, I guess there's a lot of things. But like, we only have 1 bathroom right now, which means if we have guests over, they have to see all of our bathroom stuff, and I'm just like kind of over that, because I don't want to have to try and keep all that shit clean all of the time.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, the dogs that we have, they don't have a whole lot of room to move around. They have like part of the living room, because we have about half of it sectioned off for Rosalie, and there's like mats and things that we have down for her, and that's her like playpen. So they have like half of the living room, about 3/4 of the kitchen, because that's where we have the piano, so they can't obviously lay on top of the piano or use that space. And then my office, when it is open. And I hate when they hang out in my office, because it makes it smell like dog, and then I have to try and live stream in there. Like, it doesn't bother me. So this next place, because it's split level, like, we're toying with the idea that the bottom level would be our, like, that's where we go down there and we chill, and we're not bothered by the baby or the dogs or whatever, and that's where we bring guests.
Yeah.
The garage is also down there, so if I needed to build another bar, we would build it in the garage, and I would have about an 8-foot by 10-foot space to do that.
So a single car?
Which is single car, yeah. An 8-foot by 10-foot space would be, like, all of this would fit on the 10-foot back wall. So it would be like if you drove into the garage, you could see all of this, and the car would pull up to kind of right to the front of where those cameras are.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So I couldn't quite fit this whole setup in there, but I could get really close.
Probably good enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. That'd be cool, man. Hopefully you get it. It's behind the bar, Joe.
Void Raven, what is up? Welcome back. Thank you for tuning in. How's it going?
What's going on?
Hope you get the job, human.
Yeah, hopefully I get the path to home ownership for me comes sooner than later as well. We'll see. Who knows if we get this travel show.
We shall see.
That's a little further on down the line, obviously.
Well, for me, it's almost like it's one of those things that feels like it is within reach, but I will feel more comfortable if I build up a lot more stuff around it.
Yeah.
Instead of just going like, and like really throwing myself at this one thing that is kind of remote. It's a remote possibility.
Yeah, going all in on
But-
that quite yet would.
But how easy it would be for me to just like kind of course correct and really focus on doing that kind of content.
Yeah.
Seems like it wouldn't really be that hard. Especially like I've already built a second account now around a concept that is completely different from what made me popular in the first place, and that gained traction in less than a week. I feel like I could build like a travel vlog sort of personality. I just need to I want to figure out what that looks like. And every time I try and imagine it, I always imagine like you and John Luke and Nick and Jake there.
Yeah.
So I don't know how to do it
I think
just as myself.
I think you probably don't need to. It's not a far stretch from what you're already doing, honestly. I think I would personally already be good at it because I'm just by default going to be into and interested in a lot of shit because admittedly I'm not very well traveled, and also I have absolutely zero problem being in front of a camera and talking to the camera and that kind of thing.
It's to that point actually. There's this weird. I was watching an interview with Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who has always been an idol of mine as far as like acting and stuff like acting, improv, being a host, just being a personality. He's always been an idol of mine ever since Third Rock from the Sun. And I was watching an interview where he said there's something about when you know and you accept that you're in front of a camera and somebody hits a slate or somebody calls action or something and it changes something in you, and you, with enough training, you just become the person you need to be on camera. And I think we're there. I think John Luke is there too, actually. It's just that it's draining for me a bit, but it's probably more draining for him because he's so not introverted, but it takes a lot of energy for him to be the version of himself he thinks people want to see, which is, you guys don't know this, but John Luke isn't the way that he acts when he's on camera.
Yeah.
But you would probably like him more if you saw the way he actually was normally.
Yeah, you're right. I think we'd make for a damn good show. But before that, remotely funny.
Oh yes,
Coming first.
but also, could you imagine? What if we just took remotely funny on the road? Like, what if it actually was? What if that's the whole segment? Is that we're just remotely funny, and it's like Jackass style, where
We're never
each
in a set place, really.
like each episode we each think of challenges for the other people, and so like my challenge would be like, hey guys, I know we're in Japan, and today we're gonna be in Akihabara, which is gonna be like the center for all of like the gaming culture, like pod hotels and stuff like that, and so it's the densest place to be in Japan as far as I'm aware. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna challenge Dylan with taking a drink in as many bars as he can while he's here. But the thing is, Akihabara is like the entrance to the bars are all like
Is that the same thing as Golden Guy? You know what that is?
No.
Golden Guy is I kind of had this right, I think, but it might be in Tokyo. It's somewhere.
I think I'd give you an like a, what is the word? A treasure hunt?
Yeah. Or yeah, like a treasure hunt to go.
You would have a list of things that you would need to find in Akihabara, and one of them would be like find a cat girl, which sounds crazy if you don't know anything about Akihabara. So but like you would start walking around and be like, where the fuck am I gonna find a cat girl? Is that that's a cat girl? And it's just this anime girl that has like cat ears and whiskers and like a tail or whatever.
I think.
And having like a couple of people with cameras just following you, getting that reaction where you're like, this can't be right. That can't be. Is that what I'm looking for?
Is that what the cat girl is?
One of them would be like, get in an onsen bath, which you can't do unless you're butt naked.
What is it? What's it?
An onsen bath? I mean, they're typically separated by gender, but it's like a spa. It's like a hot spring. But sometimes if you go to like really high quality ones, they'll have different compounds in each bath. So there will be one that's just like, this is like just mineral water. They'll have one that's bicarbonate water, or like baking soda water. They'll have one that is sodium chloride water or salt water. And at different temperatures, there'll be hot ones, warm ones, cold ones that you're supposed to like, in sort of like a regiment, you move between these. Really good ones will also have like sauna rooms that have different kinds of wavelengths of light, or they're made of different kinds of materials that are supposed to have certain properties on your body or whatever. But it would mostly be about getting you naked on camera.
I'm down. I'll do it.
When I went to South Korea, I went and we got in line and everyone was talking about how like scared they were, and we were like, you know what, we'll give it 20 minutes, and when we're done, let's all meet out here in the lobby, and then we'll do the rest of the stuff, like all of the sauna rooms and whatever after we're naked. And so I get in the locker room, I get naked with this other American guy that I had only met like less than 24 hours ago, and I go out into the saunas, or into the spa, and I'm naked. Everyone is fucking looking at me because I don't look like anybody there, which was a surreal experience. I kind of got over that pretty quickly because I was like, fuck it, everyone's naked, and I don't have a reason to be shy. So I was just like, yeah, hot water, cold water, salt water, bicarbonate water. There are some like benches that you could just like lay on if you were like overheated or whatever. And then I got out, and everyone was like, dude, where were you? Like, where have you been? And I was like, we said we would be in the thing for 20 minutes. And they were like, yeah, but we all came out here like 2 minutes later. Have you seriously been in there for 20 minutes? And I was like, was I the only one? Was I the only one that had the stones to just decide, you know what, I'm just gonna get naked and be naked in front of all these strangers, other men.
Apparently you were.
I had nothing to hide. I will stand by that.
Yeah, man, I'm down to get butt ass naked on camera in Japan or wherever the fuck. I'll do it.
I feel like we would need some pretty special permission to have like cameras in the onsen itself, or we would record you before and then record you coming out of it afterwards, like putting your robe and stuff back on, just being like, I don't want to talk about this. I don't want to talk about it.
I'm not drunk enough for this. I need a drink. Yeah, that'd be fun. Oh, I keep trailing off from Golden Guy. I think Golden Guy is in Tokyo, and it's like a really long like alley, or like a split level strip or a complex of some sort, where there's like an insane amount of bars in like a single concentrated area.
Akihabara is like that.
I think that. Matter of fact, let me just look it up so I know what the fuck I'm talking about.
Akihabara is like when you walk through it, there's like a bar next to a bar next to a pet shop next to a bar, and it's like all in the same block, and then above those is also like a cafe next to like a retail spot next to an apartment next to, like, everything's just like so tightly densely packed, and there's like arcades, and there's virtual reality bars, and there's all these like really cool advanced things there.
Okay, so the proper name is Shinjuku Golden Guy. It's a small area which is located in Kabukicho, Shinjuku, Tokyo, Japan, which is composed of a network of 6 narrow alleys connected by even narrower passageways, which are about wide enough for a single person to pass through. Over 200 tiny shanty-style bars, clubs, and eateries are squeezed into this area.
That sounds like the funnest place.
That's what I'm saying.
I feel like we would need to do one season. What, like, these sound like 6 episode seasons, and each episode is about an hour long. We would need to plan one where we just go to Japan.
Dude,
and like one episode would be like, we're gonna go into Akihabara. One episode would be where we try and figure out how to drive around Japan. One episode would be the Golden Guy, which would mostly just be like, we're gonna see if Dylan can actually even fucking get through here. And it would be, I feel like, I'm thinking of like going to Colombia, and I'm tall when I go to Colombia, so I feel like Dylan would be like at least his head above everybody. Like, excuse me, Pardon me. Sorry. Gomennatai.
Konnichiwa. Ni hao. Yeah.
That's Chinese. Gome is the informal apology in Japanese. It's a truncated version of gomennatai.
I'd be saying that a lot. But yeah, how fun does it sound to go get drunk in Kobe? That sounds amazing. Just spending a night there.
That does sound like a lot of fun. Also, in that part of the world, they're much more likely to, in the same, well, I say that part of the world, the same thing is actually true when we were in Geneva. They're much more likely to be like, you know what, it seems like you had a really good time. Like, it's on us. Just come back tomorrow or whatever. Say you'll come back or whatever. In Korea, they called it servisu. The idea that we'll give you this for free, it's on us, just take it. Just walk away with it. But if anybody asks, tell them you got it here.
Gotcha, yeah. Yeah, that's probably a bucket list item for me. Just get the golden guy, whatever, 6, 7 at night, even earlier, and just spend the rest of the day there, just exploring and just.
There's gonna be some weird non-bar related stuff.
Oh,
there's
sure.
gonna be like a shot of us walking through there and being like, hey, it says onsen right here. Dylan, you want to go in there? And then you're gonna be like, is that some kind of bar? And I'd be like, it's
some kind of bar.
Some kind of bar. Yeah, exactly. You get in there, it's like, why is he getting tape all around me to do the? What are we doing? And then he brings a robe.
Like getting fitted for a suit.
They will bring you a robe and they'll bring you a small towel. And then I would make a joke like, Dylan, you have to try and put the robe on, and the towel is for you to put right here. And you'd be like, really? Am I supposed to? And I'd be like, yeah, you tie the robe.
Yeah, you got it.
You take the towel and you fold it over the thing that you have in the robe so that no one can see your dick. And then we'd walk into the onsen, and I'd be like, you look like a fucking idiot. That's not what that's for.
That'd be great.
Take it and put it on your head. Which is also not what it's for. That's actually, they hand you a washcloth because you have to bathe yourself before you get in the pools.
Makes sense. That would be hilarious. We'll stumble into a bar and it's just vending machines with underwear in it. They got shit like that in Japan, I think. Right? Yes.
That's a separate challenge for the season we do in Japan, would be you can only wear the clothes you got from the vending machine.
Oh god. That would be, particularly for me, that would be...
I would be in my hotel room, like, I'm Googling all of the vending machines in my area. I have a Google Translate tab open. I'm trying to figure out where I can buy a regular undershirt and some tights.
And I'd have to find the plus size vending machines.
I would find some tights, and I would intentionally not find underwear, just to, there'd be like an outline, and then I'd be like,
hell yeah. Walking through Japan, rocking some mean side pipe.
I couldn't find a jacket in the vending machine, so we're just gonna T-Rex walk.
Yeah, man, let the people of Japan know what's up. Rock that side pipe.
Oh Lord, just.
Yeah, you see it. Don't act like you're not impressed. I would do that.
There are kids in Japan.
There are kids in America.
Yeah, that's why I don't show my side pipe in America.
Well, okay, fair enough. Well played. I'm just saying, if you're gonna wear tights, rock the side pipe, man. If you're gonna go through that trouble,
You know what would happen? Do you know what would actually happen? Is that if we could only buy clothes from a vending machine, we would all show up in the same outfit. We'd all find like a French maid outfit that had a skirt and be like, you got a skirt so your dick wouldn't hang out. And then one of us, or all of us, would be like, that was my original plan. And then it would just be like a little bit of the tip, just like hanging out the bottom of the skirt. But we all just have like facial hair, and we're obviously like fucking miserable. We're like, I need a drink. And so the three of us go in French maid outfits, sit down at a bar.
That'd be great. There's a whole thing going on in the chat.
Doglet?
I'll It's a new Pokemon, I think.
There's Fuecoco, which is the starter that I'm choosing. Have you seen the new starters?
No, are you talking about for the one that came on Switch?
No, that's Legend of Arceus. They announced Generation 9, Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet.
Jesus. How many Pokemon are there now?
Not generations, I guess, because this is the Gen 9 starters.
But there's got to be like close to 1,000 now, right?
I think so.
Has to be.
So we have Sprigatito, the weed cat, and then Fuecoco, which is a half-eaten apple, and Quaxley.
Damn. Pokemon is still going strong, huh?
Somehow.
Is this
I'm excited to see what the evolutions look like.
Maybe I should give me a Pokemon game. Pick that back up.
Hey, you've got a Switch now,
Yes, I do.
and I've got a Switch.
Yeah. The only games I have so far are Smash, clearly, obviously. The HD remake of Skyward Sword. Which I feel like is a
Smart. That's a lot to start with.
There's
a lot of content there for you.
I've actually never played Skyward Sword before because I never owned a Wii. This is the only Nintendo system I've never had.
And with that, guys, I do have to wrap the live stream here, unfortunately. Thank you guys for tuning in, sticking around, showing up. I do appreciate it. Hopefully, we have been helpful and supportive for you all. That's why we do what we do here. I am going to release another video tomorrow. That's probably going to be on the Cointrick Twitch channel. On TikTok, it's going to be another AI script, but it is not going to be one that I have read here with Dylan, as far as I know, unless it becomes that after this recording right now. But thank you all for tuning in, sticking around. It does mean a lot to me. I do appreciate it. The next live stream is going to be tomorrow, 7 p.m. Yes, well, actually, no, Hannah's at work tomorrow, so the next live stream is going to be tomorrow. I'll say 11 a.m. PST. And then I have a couple of meetings and stuff like that. But hopefully I see you guys there. It's not going to be at the bar. It is going to be gaming. I'm probably going to be playing Destiny 2, working through the campaign, if you guys haven't seen that already. But thanks again for being here. I do appreciate it. Hopefully we'll see you guys in the next live stream. Until then, be good, be kind, be helpful, and we will see you guys next time.
Good night.